Visa issues delayed Edson Montano's arrival for 6 weeks. Today the Jets finally got their man. Montano speaks almost no English, so it was left to Marcos Flores to give us the Ecuadorian's first impressions of his new team.
Entregan todo en cada entrenamiento y es muy bueno verlo.
He could feel the really good energy, really happy group, and also that he was looking at training that everyone give the best, so he's excited.
The striker revealed an admiration for Emil Heskey and a friendship with another former Jet, Edmundo Zura, encouraged him to sign with Newcastle. Unlike his fellow Ecuadorian, Montano is confident homesickness and the language barrier won't be a problem.
With football, doesn't matter which language you speak, it's the football language, the boys speak every language.
As for Flores, he and Scott Neville are back in full contact training as they continue to recover from knee operations.
The guys don't forgive me anything, They don't give me anything every time they come really strong to me. But I'm really happy. I'm enjoying every second.
Both players are likely to see game time when the Jets travel to Townsville on Friday for a pre-season tournament. Meanwhile, coaching staff will meet tomorrow to discuss replacements for Josh Baresi and Mitch Oxborough.
Now that we've got the two positions to fill, I'm sure that Phil's looking at probably filling one with experience and probably one where we, maybe a project player.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
Usually flanked by a host of Liberal MPs, Mike Baird today cut a more lonely figure. In town to again
personally apologise to residents of Newcastle and the Hunter region.
The Premier has been saying sorry ever since the resignations in disgrace of the members for Newcastle and Charlestown, who admitted to receiving money from banned donors. Mr Baird says he wants to restore the faith.
We will do everything possible to rebuild the trust between this community and the party, and it will take time, but we will do it.
The Premier also sought to explain his curious first step, not running candidates in the upcoming by-elections.
Going to an electorate and saying, we don't believe we can run a candidate that causes pain to me, it causes pain to the party, it causes pain to the supporters. But I say to them, we have to do this. We have to get our house in order. We can't come to the community right now and say we want to represent you.
Not surprisingly, Mr Baird wants that house in order by the March state election. In the meantime, he remains committed to big-ticket promises for the region, like the CBD overhaul, light rail and the inner-city bypass missing link.
I think that Newcastle has got its mojo back. I generally believe it. My sense, and each visit that I've done, on the ground, there's a real sense that Newcastle is on the move.
But on the streets, it seems that may not entirely be the case. A memory and hopes the Premier is relying on to lift the political cloud hanging over the city. Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
The Enabling Act says that after the implementation date in 2018, it will no longer have any responsibility, public responsibility for disability. They will all be handed over to the private sector.
Newcastle's John Stretton is a talented voiceover artist by day, but it's on stage where his true passion lies. Stretton is one of 5 cast members reinventing The Goon Show, a British comedy icon of the 1950s that inspired the likes of Monty Python and even the Beatles.
This is all about a bunch of guys who are absolutely passionate about the original Goon Show humour.
Keeping that humour alive is the motivation behind the revival. The witty one-liners and sketches of the much-loved Peter Sellers, Harry Seacombe, Spike Milligan and Wallace Greenslade back to entertain audiences. For Robin Carey, playing Spike Milligan, who eventually lived at Woy Woy, has been a dream come true.
Apart from being the Goon Show fan, to actually play this wonderful magic person that I've loved all these years is just wonderful and magic.
The revival has been gaining momentum since it first hit the stage in Sydney last year. Now it's on tour, with the show coming to the Hunter next month.
A lot of people can relate to the absolute silliness that's constructed in your mind with all the great sound effects and silly character voices.
And so far these goons are getting positive reviews, including from Spike's brother, Patrick.
That was quite scary. I'm playing his brother, and but he seemed to enjoy it.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
I've got a good time. That sits me #1 in the world right now, and I've got to come out here on Thursday and try and replicate the time I did in Glasgow. If I don't do that sort of time, I don't think it'll be competitive.
When the Cobras formed in 2011, other Gridiron New South Wales teams feared Newcastle wouldn't last. Heading into the 2014-2015 season, the Novocastrians have a new look and some newfound confidence.
We're getting experience in the positions that we need to have. We're also getting in new recruits in the positions that we need. So I think we'll do well this year.
Max Nina admits he took up the sport 4 years ago just to annoy his mum. Since then, the wide receiver has been frustrating plenty of opposition defenders. In 2013, he was one of 3 Newcastle players to make the state team.
I'm heading in the direction that I want to head. So hopefully at the end of this year, they've got the Australian tryouts, so I'll make the team for the World Cup coming up next year.
23-year-old Corey Harrigan is the second cousin of Knights legend Paul the Chief Harrigan. Corey started at 15 with a team in Sydney, but the quarterback has been with Newcastle since the club was formed.
I think we've made some impressions on some of the Sydney teams with their play and our committee and things like that, and helping the sport grow in our region.
This season, the Cobras believe they can make the playoffs for the first time. They'll start with a match-up against a perennial powerhouse this weekend.
Going against the defending champs, Sydney Uni, we start the season with the best, which is, it's a good levelling mark. We can see where we're at and then work forward for the rest of the year.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
We've had athletics, there's women's soccer teams, there's netball teams, there's junior soccer. When I first started here, there was only 2 people that could speak English. We've been invited to Canberra, we've played in the Spanish Cup down there, we've hosted the Spanish Cup here in Newcastle.
A family drive turned to tragedy this morning when an 85-year-old woman lost her life in this horrific crash. She was a passenger in the car being driven by her 71-year-old son-in-law along Main Road at Edgeworth.
For reasons unknown, he's veered across to the side of the road and collided with a telegraph pole.
The woman was sitting in the back seat and suffered fatal internal injuries. The driver, along with another passenger believed to be the woman's 62-year-old daughter, were taken to John Hunter Hospital where they were treated for minor injuries and placed under observation. Relatives consoled each other at the scene.
It's terrible. Bad news. It's always bad news. There's a lot of people who've got to live with it, and unfortunately we've lost a life.
While it's unlikely that the cause of the accident will be known for quite some time, at this early stage in their investigation, police don't believe speed was a factor. The weather was fine and despite recent rain, the road dry. The accident caused minor traffic delays, with one westbound lane of Main Road closed for 3 hours. Madeleine McKell, NBN News.
The 9:15 from Central Station, arriving in Newcastle to a gathering of more than 120 people. The Save Our Rail group and members of the Rail, Tram and Bus Union greeted a small contingent from Eco Transit, a public transport advocacy group. All are united in the view that cutting the rail line will have a negative impact on the city.
Concerned about the effects on people coming to visit Newcastle, and a lot of those people come up here for day trips.
Also joining the campaign today, the federal member for Perth, Alana McTiernan, says the New South Wales government can learn a lot from WA.
We have made mistakes in Western Australia. We did exactly what's been proposed here with our second biggest city in Bunbury, and it has been a disaster.
Eco Transit claims recent revelations at the ICAC inquiry into political donations, which has resulted in 2 Hunter MPs resigning, is another reason for the project to be scrapped.
The mandate that they thought they have or purported to have to cut this rail line and redevelop the space as high-rise buildings has completely evaporated.
But the state government says leaving Newcastle city centre as it is does not make any sense, and it's committed to delivering the light rail project. Renee Feder, NBN News. "14-year-old Siobhan Daly is one talented bocce player. Today showing up a Paralympic hero in a sport she clearly loves.
Everything. It's my life.
She seems to dream bocce. Every story that she needs to write for school is around bocce.
Siobhan, who has severe cerebral palsy, is one of 2,300 participants in the NDIS trial who have an individually tailored support plan. It's helped employ a ramp assistant, allowing Siobhan to play bocce independently and pursue her own Paralympic ambitions. She's just been selected in a development squad for Tokyo 2020.
She's finally being able to make a choice in what direction her life goes. And at the moment it's sport, but after she's able to participate in that, who knows where it will be.
The positive impact of the NDIS has also been felt by her family.
Both of the girls were, I guess, limited and were able to do less because I couldn't sort of spread myself around everywhere. We're now being able, for Siobhan, being able to have the support that she has through NDIS has meant that they're both able to meet their commitments that they want to do.
Kurt Fernley says this is just a taste of what's to come once the scheme is fully rolled out.
It's like you're pulling one kind of rock out of a damn wall. We're seeing that first initial trickle down, and that, when it's completely done, it's just going to be flying.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
The Matautia brothers have made headlines for all the right reasons lately. Sione's effort against the Warriors ensured even more interest. Even when they're not together, the brothers are still helping each other. The Knights' win kept older brother Peter's Dragons in finals contention.
They're playing real good at the moment. Thanks to the little one's hat-trick, we still have a chance to make the top 8.
Down in Wollongong, Peter's happy to be called Matautai. In Newcastle, Sione and Chanel are running with Matautia. However you say the name, the brothers are hot property right now, reportedly attracting interest from several clubs. 3 are contracted to Newcastle until the end of 2015, while Peter has a similar deal at the Dragons.
I love it here, I'm happy here. And as far as I know, I'm here until next year, so I got this year to worry about and another year here.
Whatever happens, the boys have Mum to thank for their success.
Yeah, she's done a lot for us, she's sacrificed a lot for us, and we want to give back to her as much as we can.
Teammates say it's their upbringing that's kept the boys level-headed.
They're quite humble and they show it on the field, they don't play with an over amount of flair, but just enough to get the job done, and they're pretty much rock solid.
Despite the fact he's heading to the UK next year and the Knights are out of finals contention, Adam Cuthbertson says there's still plenty of motivation to win the last 3 games.
There's nothing worse than coming off after a loss, You have to deal with it the whole week after you lose, and whether it's by 1 point or by 50 points.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
For us, our focus is winning and trying to get into the top 8. And Wayne's coming in next year, so we'll worry about that then. And
I don't think it's appropriate at this time anyway. We've got 3 really important games at the moment. Things will work out for next year. Next year
We've got a lot to do, and in the short time that we've been on the go, we've achieved a lot already.
Specialist police heavily armed hard with shock raids in Newcastle. They struck 2 homes, both related to the Pullenvale bomb prime suspect Daniel Fing.
Was faced with about 7 police officers standing there with rifles, completely in black, the big SWAT squad car.
This is the Fing family home, once a suburban fortress, now smashed open by officers, the gate ripped off, brick posts leaning. It's now crawling with detectives, searching for evidence and taking no chances. Using a robot designed to look for dangerous bombs and wheeling in Daniel Fing's father, his son is the main suspect in the huge haul of bomb-making chemicals found in Brisbane's west. The 30-year-old was renting the Pullenvale property, where maps of potential targets in Sydney and Newcastle were found. Today, the army was enlisted for a final sweep. Explosive experts with sniffer dogs and metal detectors, they blended into the bush, making sure there was nothing left, around a property where more than 50 kilos of dangerous material was discovered. It came up clean, but the investigation is deepening, run from police headquarters with multiple agencies involved.
There are all sorts of people who do all sorts of weird and at times pretty dangerous things, but I haven't been advised of any potential terrorist threat in respect of this particular issue.
The Fing family is certainly no stranger to police. Father Trevor has been jailed for drug and firearm offences and a $1.7 million fraud. He lost part of an arm and one leg in an unsolved hit-run crash in June. His sons, Damien and Jacob, have also faced firearms charges. Even Daniel's grandmother, Adele, was once charged with recklessly dealing with proceeds of crime. It was dismissed. Daniel Fing was also the victim of a suspected drive-by shooting in 2011. He's in custody on unrelated matters in Newcastle, his hometown that's also now the focus of investigators. Michael Best, NBN News.
Andrew Cornwall told the ICAC that Hilton Grujon's latest account of how he acquired a painting was a lie to deflect blame towards the former MP. He also said that artist Rex Newell's version of events was incorrect. Counsel assisting asked Mr Cornwall whether he's the one who's been telling lies and fibs from the outset. This is the innocuous landscape painting Perrin's Boat Shed. It's at the centre of the latest corruption controversy. The painter Rex Newell told the ICAC Andrew Cornwall's father Brian asked him to donate a painting to raise money for his son's election campaign. Mr Newell said he was puzzled when he was called by a friend of Brian's the next day or so to say it was sold for $10,000.
I thought someone was really having a joke with me.
He had earlier explained to the Commission his artworks had been selling for $2,000 to $3,000 and today proudly showed off some of his work after a stressful couple of weeks.
I can't even go down to the local newsagent where I've got about 3 or 4 people, who give me a hard time. So, when are you going to jail?
The former Charlestown MP returned to the ICAC, sticking to his previous evidence that he delivered the painting as a Christmas present to developer Hilton Grujon, who later contacted him to pay $10,000 for it. But on Thursday last week, Mr Grujon told the ICAC, "We agreed I would buy a painting off him. I did it to show him support." Mr Cornwall was asked, Hilton Grujon says your evidence is false, that it was a scheme concocted to your advantage, a sham transaction he could give you money to provide patronage. Is he lying? Mr Cornwall replied, "It's very different to my account." His wife Samantha Brooks also cast doubt over the evidence of Rex Newell and Hilton Grujon. She was asked whether she has given evidence laced with lies. She replied, "I have always given full and frank evidence that is absolutely incorrect." Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
According to AGL, a dark cloud hangs over the Tomago aluminium smelter. After buying the Liddell and Bayswater power stations for $1.5 billion, AGL issued a statement saying that its conservative modelling shows the smelter shutting down in 2017. The Trades Hall Council fears that would be just the start.
Liddell may shut in the next 3 or 4 years if Tomago can't negotiate new power prices, so it's going to have a pretty big flow-on effect.
Between the two facilities, it would mean a total of 1,500 Hunter jobs. Shadow Minister for the Hunter, Sonia Hornery, has slammed the privatisation of the Macquarie Generation assets, but says it's not too late for the state to act.
It's about Mike Baird pressuring AGL to assure us that AGL in 2017 will continue their contracts with Liddell and Tomago and keep prices down.
A spokesperson for the Tomago aluminium smelter today said the company would be providing absolutely no comment on claims that it would be closing in just 3 years, leaving a very uncertain future for its estimated 1,200 employees.
They'll go home to their families, their husbands and wives will be asking questions about, potentially should they look for another job now, should they get out while they can.
It's a baptism of fire for Daniel Wallace, who tonight will be formally named the Trades Hall Council's new secretary. Tomorrow he'll meet with workers to discuss the AGL takeover and job security. Madeline McKell, NBN News.
It's a tiny town with a big heart, and today that passion was plain to see. The people of Denman rely on mining, viticulture and the thoroughbred industry. The challenges in all three coexisting were highlighted at the public meeting into Anglo American's new proposal to expand its Drayton South mine. Last December, an initial bid didn't get the nod from the Planning Assessment Commission due to possible impacts on two of the world's most significant thoroughbred horse studs, Coolmore and Darley. For those in the industry, nothing has changed.
It would decimate our industry, it would decimate our operation at Woodlands. The landowner is back where they started, fighting for their lives.
This could signal the beginning of the end of the thoroughbred breeding industry in the Hunter Valley, an industry that's taken 150 years to develop and is internationally recognised as one of the top 3 horse breeding areas in the world.
While the town's miners say they're also fighting for their livelihoods, with the project set to maintain 500 local jobs while providing $35 million in state royalties and $70 million in local procurement each year.
It not only affects the 500 workers at Drayton Mine and their families, it affects the broader communities.
The company says it's made the necessary changes to minimise the impact on the studs, and the Department of Planning and Environment has recommended the revised plans be approved with strict conditions.
This mine plan basically lessens impacts in all aspects, so whether it be air quality, water, noise, blasting, all of those impacts you get with mining are all less with this mine plan than they were previously.
But many aren't convinced.
The changes that the mining company have proposed comply with less than half of what the previous pack that reviewed this decision recommended. So the changes don't go anywhere near providing certainty for us.
We all need to coexist and we all need to get on with it, and this mine's just too close for us to operate our businesses.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It's smiles like these that make these purchases worth every cent. Valued at $5,000 each, 5 wheelchairs were today gifted to Hunter Surf Lifesaving through funds donated to Variety by Newcastle Diggers and Jeff McCloy.
And that is pretty exciting for us. That is quite nice because the clubs wanted to do it, but naturally we can't carry people, and to be able to move them around in the chair and make this all easy, it's wonderful.
Knights legend and Variety ambassador Danny Padiris was on hand to help give the chairs a test drive. The results speak for themselves. 1 each will go to Stockton, Nobbies, Redhead, Swansea Belmont and Caves Beach surf clubs for use by the public.
The families don't bring the children to the beach because it's difficult to get a normal wheelchair on the sand, but these chairs just glide over the top of it, and just the children's smiles, you can't put a price on that.
That's something Aaron Morris knows firsthand. He's run Special Nippers for 4 years and in that time has seen the service spread across the region.
We also liaise with Disabled Surfing on Blacksmiths Beach, so they're looking forward to it as well, getting a lot of their kids on the beach, so it's great.
New South Wales Surf Lifesaving hopes to install such chairs in every surf club statewide over the next few years. Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
It continues, it just grows. As more and more people find out about the teapots, and relatives and friends come here and they tell others, and it just continues to grow year by year.
At Charlestown City's home ground today, the possibility of Edgeworth bowing out before kicking a ball loomed.
That'd be heartbreaking. I'm not even going to contemplate that thought.
But that could happen if Saturday's elimination semi is washed out. Northern New South Wales Football today stated that in the event the game can't be played, the lower placed team, Edgeworth, will be knocked out.
You want to win on your merits. Look, that law's there for whatever reason it is, but hopefully we don't have to use it.
The Blues coach says his team isn't thinking about the weather, just the match.
The beauty of semi-final football is that you have to turn up and win on the day. So, with that, I think our guys' attitudes, been really good during the week at training. So, yeah, we're up for the fight.
Head-to-head, the Eagles go into the match with a 7-0 first-round win, while the two clubs shared the spoils in the second-round encounter. And it seems City's golden boot, Kane Goodchild, is the man Edgeworth is looking to keep quiet up front, a task that will fall into the backline partnership of Cameron Smith and Josh Evans.
He's a big, strong lad and throws himself about. So he'll be someone that we need to watch. I'm more than confident that the boys can, keep a clean sheet.
Michael Kane, NBN News. One of Australia's best basketballers. Today, Susie Batkovic was back home treading the boards at Broadmeadow.
I love this stadium. This is where it all began for me. 6 a.m. trainings, learning the game and learning the rules.
She's in Newcastle for a week of training in the lead up to another WNBL season with Townsville.
We've got probably 3.5 weeks until our pre-season starts, which for women's basketball pre-season is 4 weeks. So under 8-week mark now to the first game. So I'm sort of trying to find my feet after a bit of time off and get some fitness back.
Batkovic opted not to play in the Opal's upcoming World Championship campaign in Turkey, electing instead to work on beating her back injury.
I've been in the Australian team since I was 18. And I'm 33 now, so it's been a long time. So I do miss it, and it does get hard to watch, but just proud of the girls, and especially the young ones coming through. They're doing such a great job.
And the Olympic flame is still burning despite her international hiatus.
I might try and fight for that fourth Olympics. We'll just see how the body holds up.
Batkovic also hinted about a return to the Hunters.
Newcastle's always going to be number one to me. It would have been nice to have a WNBL team before I retired and have it back in Newcastle, but obviously that never went through. So, possibility I'll be back playing on this court by the time I retire.
Meanwhile, this Saturday night, the current Hunters come up against the North Sydney Bears in the qualifying final, eager to reproduce their best form.
We've got some big wins. Beating Bankstown a couple of weeks ago was huge for us, and I just think we just need to continue the form.
Michael Kane, NBN News. As the A-League season fast approaches, the Jets are set for takeoff, and it seems their owner wishes they could do it, literally. Media reports have today quoted Nathan Tinkler laying in the boot as he tries to offload the franchise, saying, "I can't wait to get them out the door." The offloading of the billionaire's sporting interests has been constant, with the Newcastle Knights first to be struck off the list, while Tinkler's horse racing empire will go to auction at the Magic Million sales next month. Jets CEO Robbie Middleby is keen to put fans at ease, stating, "We look forward to securing new owners and moving forward with this new chapter."
The Newcastle Jets' future is up in the air. Nathan Tinkler will continue to underwrite the club and day-to-day operations will continue as normal. But finding the right buyer is now absolutely crucial.
Yeah, obviously a high-profile Premier League club or a European club would be fantastic.
After Manchester City's recent purchase of Melbourne Heart for $11.5 million, it's rumoured a similar scenario is Tinkler's preferred option in a potential sale.
If somebody come along and offered the right sort of money, he'd obviously consider it.
Meanwhile, there was better news for the round ball code locally as delegates from visiting nations inspected facilities around the Hunter for the upcoming Asian Cup in January next year.
We're very happy and very excited to be in Newcastle. I'm very impressed actually with the city, with the environment, with the people as well.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
It was the issue that stood in the path of the Hydro aluminium plant redevelopment. Now, to solve the problem, Hydro has simply shifted it out of the way. A containment cell up to 5 hectares in size will be created on site, where the hazardous materials from years of aluminium production will be put. Hydro says the solution will cost anywhere up to $100 million, and it will maintain ownership of it even if the land is sold off. Concerns over contamination have clouded the proposed redevelopment, but Hydro is confident it will go ahead.
Where we've identified potential residential areas, those areas will be remediated to a standard that requires for residential development and similarly for employment or commercial operations.
After unveiling the redevelopment plans last month, Hydro hasn't received a formal expression of interest. The company believes the on-site cell containment won't deter investors.
There are plenty of examples of large-scale site remediations where on-site containment is a proven and accepted process.
But the plan doesn't have everyone on side. Joel Fitzgibbon has called on the state government to reject the idea immediately.
Well, it's a landfill by another name, and all the advice I've had is that there is only one way to dispose of this toxic waste safely, and that is to properly reprocess it.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
It's breathtaking views like this that make Nobby's Headland one of Newcastle's most treasured icons. Thanks to Newcastle Now, the grounds of the lighthouse are looking better than ever. With help from the Job Find Centre and Department of Corrective Services, the body has restored these historic cottages.
It allows them to contribute back to a community that at some point they've taken from by virtue of a poor choice or poor behaviour.
We see here at Nobby's Lighthouse an area of public land that hasn't been available to the public for around 150 years now being made available in the very near future as a result of the great work that's been done by this Work for the Dole team.
Today, the work totalling $180,000 with an additional $300,000 of community contributions was officially unveiled. And there are big plans for the future. One cottage will house a historical display with a cafe proposed for the second. Short-term accommodation is also on the cards.
And out to the behind where the lighthouse is, a small area to have functions like weddings, and coming around from the lighthouse and outdoor fitness activities with just some simple low-maintenance fitness equipment.
As a result of the revamp, Newcastle Now has been offered a further 10-year lease of the site. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Cancer's a big killer, so anything I can do to help fight cancer, I will do it.
Come down from when it was first found on the beach, but much more stable since it's been in the water here. It's been about the same, so. Yeah.
So we've got in place now the platform for a potential new owner to really take us to the next level. Nathan will keep funding the team. There's no need to panic. He'll keep funding the team until that new owner, whoever it may be, comes in.
They haven't beaten Western this season, but the Jaffers are quietly confident they have the personnel to get the job done. Lambton is at full strength, with striker John Majerowski back in the starting 11.
Obviously, Madge is a key guy for us. It's one player that we probably haven't had in the last 9 weeks that would have been a big difference for us. He brings people into the game and people around him and gives us that strength up front.
The coach admits he may hold back a few attacking weapons for the second half and hope his defence can stifle the likes of former Jaffa, Connor Evans.
We've got a few guys who might mind kicking in this weekend, so no, look, he's a good kid and he's doing well, and he's probably going better each year. So he's got the ability to be a game changer.
With Jamie Subat suspended, Western had a scare this week at training.
Robbie Turnbull picked up an injury on Wednesday's night session, so he's 50-50 at the moment.
A draw against the Jets youth on the final day saw the Bears miss out on the minor premiership. In its 50th year in the top flight, a grand final win is now the focus for Western.
It's a huge season for the Bears. The boys just want to pick up a bit of silverware.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. During his career, Peter Sleep gave Lions fans plenty to cheer about, especially during premiership-winning seasons in '88 and '89. 5 years ago, the man known as Sleepy was diagnosed with cancer, and Souths helped to raise funds for treatment. At tomorrow's clash with Curry, the current Lions will wear special jerseys for Sleepy's Day.
I want to give something back to South, and I want to give something back to the community and people suffering with this terrible disease.
The club is hoping to raise at least $20,000 for hospitals and individuals.
The Mater Hospital, we go to Westmead Children's Hospital. There's a young girl who's got brain cancer at the moment and she needs special treatment, so we're going to give to her.
A win for Souths gives the Lions a shot at the minor premiership, but the captain says that's not the focus.
We finished third, and if it comes off and we finish second or first, that's what happens. But we'll just worry about tomorrow first.
Wet weather has forced Souths to move the game to Learmonth Oval in Hamilton. Kick-off is now at 2:30. On Sunday, Wests versus Maitland is now at Curry Sports Ground, while a decision on the venue for Central versus Port Stephens will be made tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a great achievement, it'll be a moment that I'll never forget. And, I'm going to keep improving and hopefully make my dream come true, and that's to go to the NBA.
Union boss Daniel Wallace is a man on a mission. In just a few short weeks, he's boosted the Trades Hall Council's strength considerably, nearly doubling its membership.
At the moment we represent 33,000 members, and the last 6 weeks I've been working hard, and we're nearly at 62,000 members in this region that we represent.
He's planning to use the burgeoning weight of the council to increase pressure on the state to award government manufacturing contracts to hunter-based companies, at a time when the Baird government needs all the support it can get.
There's a lot more that this state government can be doing to make sure that that work's done here in the Hunter, and that means standing up for this region, and that's one way that this government can win back trust in this region.
And the Hunter has been hemorrhaging jobs. There's been the closure of Hydro Aluminium at Curry, big job losses from Caterpillar, Westtrac, Sandvik, Downer EDI and UGL, shipping contracts for 2 supply ships going overseas, and the threat of a $2.5 billion rail contract also going overseas. Shadow Minister for the Hunter says Labor has mandated its local content policy, which dictates 20% of government contracts must go to New South Wales-based companies.
It's about bringing those industries, giving those industries the contracts that they need and reassuring us that there are jobs for us in the future and that we can keep the skills that we've fought so hard to maintain here in the Hunter.
Madeline McKell, NBN News.
It started last week as a spark after CMC's abrupt move to Queensland, and now Michael Hope has his campfire. To be held on March 13 to 15, Campfire Festival will retain the country music feel of CMC, but seek to create more of a community feel than previous years.
The patrons that come and attend, they love the entertainment, they love the atmosphere, coming along with all their mates, but they want to feel that they're part of the festival.
After gaining approval from Cessnock Council to upgrade its camping facilities, Hope Estate patrons can expect a high-quality experience. Toilet and shower facilities will both receive a makeover, and a community room will be created for somewhere to unwind.
Again, like if you're going to go away and camp with your friends, you want to have fire, you can sit around, you want to have nice facilities. So we're going to add extra features to it.
And despite the festival being created on short notice, organisers are confident it will boast an A-list lineup. Hope Estate says that artists have been booked and will release the full lineup in the coming weeks after negotiations are complete.
It'll be a big lineup, so no internationals. We're really going to big focus on Australia, but some really, really big names in there.
That list is set to include some local talent. Organisers have allocated 10 spots on the lineup for artists who submit their music to the event's website, with patrons to decide who takes to the stage. Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Wildlife carers like Linda Ma have been inundated with sick and orphaned possums, with beautiful brushtails like 5-month-old IKEA eating rat poison, which has been left underneath and inside people's homes.
It's a dreadful way to go, because once they get to a certain point with it, they become immobile and they can only sit there on the ground in agony and wait to die.
If the marsupials are found quickly enough, they can be saved, but it's an arduous 6-week treatment process.
Prevention is always better than cure, so one of the things that we do like people to think of if they really have to use a rat bait poison is to put it in something that a possum can't get into.
Linda has come up with her own invention. Rat bait is placed onto a screw which has been drilled into a lid and then secured to 2 lengths of PVC pipe.
You can then pop that under your house and rats and mice can go in both sides, but possums can't reach it.
Anyone who finds a sick brushtail is urged to contact the Native Animal Trust Fund immediately. Madeline McKell, NBN News.
It's not all about pokey palaces, it's about being part of the community. And we would not be here for 100 years if we weren't part of the community.
It was set to be a scrap in the mud at Passmore Oval with the Hawthorn Cup up for grabs. The Tars made their intentions clear early with a try from Brendan Jackson. But the home side fired back with Tim Walton sneaking one over the line. The visitors were quick to return serve, Tim Riley doing the job for his side. In difficult conditions, the Hawks found some space with Rata Delamonte falling over the line, closing the gap just before the half-time break. A questionable try in the opening minutes of the second half to the Tars' Reece McKeon proved to be crucial. A short time later, Carl Manu got in on the act as the score blew out to 30 points to 10. A costly mistake from the Tars saw Ben Harris take full advantage. The Tars' defence held strong against the home side, persistence eventually paying off for the Hawks, with Liam Farland crossing with minutes to go. The clock kept ticking, but Hamilton kept the pressure, Gareth Till scoring on the siren. But it was too little too late, the Tars winning 30 points to 27. Michael Kane, NBN News. The Bulldogs had only pride to play for and looked certain to draw first blood, but the final finish was lacking early. There was no such problem down the other end moments later as Souths winger Ryan Pywell showed how it's done. A Lions kick chase moments later provided Jared Edwards with a lucky bounce to extend their lead. Kicking was the preferred option as Pywell provided for his flying fullback. While it was a case of many hands make light work on this occasion for the home side. 22-0 down, the Tricolours searched for a four-pointer and finally got their reward. But their joy was short-lived as Jared Rodemar crossed just before the break. At times, South's defence felt like a brick wall in the middle of the park. And it didn't get any better for the Bulldogs after the break, Steve Witters pouncing on a Bulldogs error. The Lions ran out winners 62 points to 10. Michael Kane, NBN News.